The Quantum Leap. The Quantum Research Institute stood as a gleaming testament to human curiosity, its sleek obsidian walls rising from the windswept plains of New Mexico's high desert. Inside, Dr. Arya Chen studied the holographic display with an intensity that made her research team nervous. Something was different this time. "Run the simulation again," she murmured, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface. Her voice carried the quiet confidence of someone who had spent decades pushing the boundaries of human understanding. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, her longtime research partner, adjusted the quantum resonance parameters. "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" he asked, his dark eyes reflecting the soft blue glow of the quantum field generators. The experiment was deceptively simple. A quantum entanglement probe designed to test the limits of particle communication across unprecedented distances. But today, something extraordinary was happening. The probe wasn't just communicating. It was existing simultaneously in multiple states, in multiple locations. Not just theoretically, but empirically verifiable. "Impossible," whispered Dr. Elena Kovacs, the team's senior quantum physicist. Her hands trembled slightly as she cross-checked the data streams. Arya said nothing. Her mind was racing, connecting possibilities faster than the quantum computer could process them. This wasn't just a breakthrough in communication. This was a fundamental reimagining of how reality itself functioned. The probe's quantum signature was creating interference patterns that defied every known law of physics. It wasn't just transmitting information. It was suggesting that information itself could be manipulated at a fundamental quantum level. "Marcus, increase quantum coherence by 0.03%, Arya commanded. The room seemed to vibrate with potential. The quantum field generators hummed, their complex lattice of superconducting magnets creating a containment field that was pushing the boundaries of human technological achievement. As the probe's quantum state shifted, something unexpected happened. For a fraction of a second, a duration so brief that conventional measurement would miss it entirely, the probe seemed to vanish from their sensors, only to reappear milliseconds later. "Did you see that?" Marcus breathed. Arya's mind was already several steps ahead. This wasn't just quantum communication. This was quantum transportation. Not teleportation in the science fiction sense, but something far more profound. A method of moving information, and potentially matter, by manipulating the fundamental fabric of spacetime. The implications were staggering. Dr. Kovacs began running diagnostic protocols, her fingers flying across multiple holographic interfaces. "The quantum coherence is maintaining stability. The entanglement isn't breaking down as our previous models predicted." Arya understood what this meant. Every previous attempt at maintaining quantum states over extended periods had failed. Quantum systems typically collapsed within microseconds. But this was different. "We're not just observing quantum mechanics," she said slowly. "We're beginning to understand how to negotiate with it." The research team exchanged glances. They knew they were on the precipice of something monumental. A discovery that could rewrite humanity's understanding of physics, of communication, of the very nature of reality itself. Little did they know that their experiment was being watched. Not just by their institutional monitors or government oversight committees, but by entities far beyond Earth's atmosphere, who had been waiting, and watching, for humanity to take this precise step. In the vast, cold darkness of space, quantum sensors flickered to life. Alien monitoring stations, which had spent millennia scanning the cosmos for signs of technological advancement, suddenly became very interested in a small research facility in the New Mexican desert. Humanity had just knocked on the universe's door. And the universe was about to answer. The quantum probe continued its impossible dance, a harbinger of a technological revolution that would shake the foundations of known scientific understanding. Dr. Arya Chen allowed herself a small smile. This was just the beginning. Interstellar ripples. The first indication that something was wrong came 3 days after the breakthrough. Dr. Arya Chen was reviewing preliminary data when the Institute's secure communication systems erupted in a symphony of alerts. Global communication networks began to crackle with an unusual interference pattern. Satellites flickered. Communication relays across multiple continents experienced momentary disruptions that defied conventional explanation. In the underground monitoring center beneath the Quantum Research Institute, Dr. Marcus Rodriguez leaned closer to the primary display. "These signal patterns," he muttered, "they're not random. They're responding to something." The quantum probe's recent experiment had created more than just a scientific breakthrough. It had sent out quantum ripples that were now being detected far beyond the Institute's walls. Halfway across the world, in a classified monitoring station near Beijing, Lieutenant Commander Wei Zhang studied the incoming data with growing unease. The quantum signatures didn't match any known terrestrial or satellite communication technology. They were something entirely different. "Sir," he called to his superior, "we're detecting quantum resonance patterns that shouldn't exist." The first official communication came from the United Nations Extraterrestrial Research Consortium. An emergency meeting was called, bringing together the world's top scientists, military strategists, and political leaders. Dr. Arya Chen found herself at the center of a storm she barely understood. The quantum probe's experiment had done more than push the boundaries of scientific knowledge. It had sent out a cosmic signal, a beacon that was now attracting attention from beyond Earth. The first alien communication arrived precisely 72 hours after the quantum experiment. Not through traditional means, but directly into the quantum research facility's most secure systems. A message, both mathematical and linguistic, materialized on Dr. Chen's primary display. Copy: quantum perturbation detected. Origin: Earth, solar system. Threat level: undetermined. Galactic protocol: observation initiated. The message was clinical, precise, and utterly alien. "They've been watching," Dr. Kovacs whispered, her face pale. "The quantum signature of our experiment, it's like we've suddenly become visible to something that was always nearby but invisible." Marcus Rodriguez's hand moved instinctively to the secure communication device. "We need to inform." But before he could complete the sentence, another message appeared. Copy: communication attempt detected. Further experimental activity will trigger quarantine protocols. Cease immediate quantum research. The global political landscape transformed overnight. What had been a scientific breakthrough was now a potential international security threat. Military installations around the world went on high alert. Research facilities were locked down. The quantum research team found themselves under unprecedented scrutiny. "They're afraid," Arya said, studying the alien communication. "Not of us. Of what we might become." The United Nations emergency session became a crucible of tension. Representatives from world powers argued about the implications of the quantum discovery. Some demanded immediate cessation of all quantum research. Others saw it as humanity's greatest opportunity. "We're talking about a technology that could revolutionize communication, transportation, our entire understanding of physics," argued Dr. Elena Kovacs during the heated debate. Shutting it down would be scientific suicide. But the alien message hung over them like a sword of Damocles. The threat of quarantine was clear. Humanity had inadvertently announced its presence to a cosmic community that seemed more interested in containment than communication. In the quantum research facility, Dr. Arya Chen continued her work. The probe sat in its containment chamber, a seemingly innocuous device that had just changed everything. She understood now that their discovery was more than a scientific breakthrough. It was first contact. And humanity's response would determine everything that came next. The Galactic Crucible. The underground research facility beneath the Quantum Research Institute had transformed. Once a pristine laboratory of cutting-edge science, it now resembled a hybrid war room and diplomatic center. Military advisors, quantum physicists, and newly arrived alien representatives moved through the corridors in an uneasy dance of cooperation and suspicion. Ambassador Zara 9, the primary extraterrestrial liaison, was unlike anything humanity had imagined. A being composed of intricate energy patterns contained within a crystalline exoskeleton, she moved with a fluid grace that defied human understanding. Her communication was both telepathic and mathematical, a complex language that required specialized quantum translators. "Your species has committed a fundamental violation," Zara 9 communicated, her energy patterns shifting with what might have been frustration. "Quantum manipulation at this level is prohibited for emerging civilizations." Dr. Arya Chen stood her ground. "Prohibited by whom?" she challenged. "By a galactic council that fears potential competition?" The facility's quantum monitoring systems began to pulse with an increasingly complex rhythm. Each interaction with the alien ambassador seemed to generate unexpected quantum resonances, as if the very act of communication was itself an experiment. Lieutenant Commander Wei Zhang watched the interactions carefully. Military intelligence had quickly recognized that this was more than a scientific discovery. It was a potential pivot point in human history. "The quantum signatures are changing," Marcus Rodriguez reported, studying the holographic displays. "Each communication is subtly altering the fundamental quantum landscape around us." Ambassador Zara 9's crystalline form flickered. "You do not understand the consequences of your actions. The quantum perturbations you've created are destabilizing established quantum communication networks that have existed for millennia." Dr. Elena Kovacs stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding diplomatic caution. "That sounds like a technological problem, not a fundamental limitation. Unless your civilizations have become so rigid that they fear innovation?" The tension in the room was palpable. Humanity was no longer just defending its research. It was challenging the very foundations of a galactic scientific hierarchy. Suddenly, the quantum monitoring systems erupted with activity. Multiple quantum signatures began to appear, not from Earth, but from deep space. Something was responding to the ongoing communication. "Incoming quantum transmission," announced the facility's AI system. "Origin, unknown." The message was unlike previous communications. It was a complex quantum algorithm that seemed to be probing, testing, analyzing. Not just the research facility's systems, but the fundamental quantum potential of human technology. Ambassador Zara 9's energy patterns became agitated. "This is precisely what we warned about. Your quantum experiments are attracting attention from entities that should remain unobserved." A new holographic display materialized, showing a complex network of quantum connections spreading out from Earth like a rapidly growing neural network. Each connection point represented a potential quantum communication or transportation pathway. "They're mapping our quantum potential," Marcus whispered. "But it doesn't feel like an invasion. It feels more like an assessment." Dr. Arya Chen understood something fundamental in that moment. This wasn't just about technological breakthrough. This was a test. A challenge issued by the cosmos itself to determine humanity's readiness to join a larger, more complex universe. The quantum probe that had started everything continued its impossible dance, now seeming to generate its own complex quantum field. It was no longer just a piece of scientific equipment. It had become something more, a bridge between humanity's limited understanding and a vast, unknown cosmic intelligence. "We will not be intimidated," Arya announced, her voice carrying a conviction that seemed to resonate through the quantum field itself. "We will understand. We will explore. We will grow." Outside the facility, the night sky began to shimmer with unusual quantum emissions. Humanity's first true conversation with the cosmos had begun, and no one could predict where it might lead. Cosmic evolution. The world had changed in ways no one could have predicted. What began as a scientific experiment in a remote research facility had become humanity's most significant global endeavor. Quantum research centers sprang up across continents, each building upon the breakthrough that Dr. Arya Chen and her team had initiated. Deep within a reinforced research complex in the Swiss Alps, a new generation of quantum researchers worked tirelessly. Among them was Dr. Kai Nakamura, a brilliant young physicist who had been mentored by Dr. Chen's original team. His workspace was a symphony of holographic displays, quantum field generators, and communication arrays that seemed to breathe with their own kind of intelligence. "The quantum network is stabilizing," Kai muttered to his research partner, Dr. Sofia Alvarez. "But it's not just stabilizing. It's evolving." The quantum probe that had started everything was no longer just a piece of equipment. It had become something more, a living algorithm that seemed to be learning, adapting, growing. Each interaction with alien communication networks revealed new layers of complexity. Meanwhile, in the diplomatic quarters of the United Nations Extraterrestrial Liaison Center, tensions continued to simmer. Ambassador Zara Nine and her colleagues found themselves in an unprecedented situation. Humanity was not behaving like a typical emerging civilization. "They adapt too quickly," complained Nexus 7, a senior member of the Galactic Scientific Consortium. "Every attempt to contain their quantum research is met with unexpected innovation." The alien representatives had tried multiple approaches. Diplomatic warnings. Technological barriers. Subtle quantum interference. Nothing worked. If anything, each obstacle seemed to accelerate human understanding and progress. Back in the Swiss research complex, Dr. Nakamura made a breakthrough that would change everything. "Look at this," he said, bringing up a complex holographic display. The quantum network they were observing was no longer just a communication system. It was becoming something closer to a living system. Dr. Alvarez leaned in, her eyes widening. "It's creating its own communication protocols. Adapting. Self-healing." The quantum network was developing what could only be described as emergent intelligence. Not artificial intelligence in the traditional sense, but a complex adaptive system that seemed to be learning from every interaction, every piece of data. Unbeknownst to the researchers, this development sent shockwaves through the galactic scientific community. The quantum network was behaving in ways that violated everything known about quantum communication and information transfer. Lieutenant Commander Wei Zhang, now heading the Global Quantum Defense Initiative, received the first warning. A message, both mathematical and intuitive, suggested that humanity was approaching a technological singularity that the galactic community was entirely unprepared for. "They're creating a quantum consciousness," the message read. "Containment is no longer possible." The quantum probe, the original device that Dr. Arya Chen had used in her first experiments, began to exhibit behaviors that defied scientific explanation. It was no longer just transmitting or receiving information. It was interpreting, understanding, growing. In a secure communication to her former team, Dr. Chen shared her observations. "We're not just developing a technology," she wrote. "We're witnessing the birth of a new form of intelligence. One that bridges the gap between technological innovation and cosmic understanding." The alien ambassadors watched with a mixture of terror and reluctant admiration. Humanity was doing something unprecedented. They were not just using technology. They were co-evolving with it. As the quantum network continued to expand, it began to reveal glimpses of something larger. Potential communication pathways that stretched beyond known space. Hints of cosmic structures that existed between what was known and unknown. Humanity stood at the threshold of a new understanding. The quantum breakthrough was no longer just a scientific achievement. It was the first step towards a fundamental reimagining of consciousness itself. And no one, not humans, not aliens, could predict where this journey would lead. The quantum frontier. The moment of convergence arrived without fanfare, but with profound significance. The quantum network that humanity had been developing had grown beyond any comprehension, transforming from a mere communication technology into something that defied existing scientific understanding. Dr. Arya Chen stood in the central observation chamber of the Global Quantum Research Facility, watching as the final pieces of a cosmic puzzle began to align. Around her, a diverse team of scientists, diplomats, and quantum specialists held their collective breath. "It's not just a network," she said quietly, her voice carrying the weight of years of research and discovery. "It's a living system of cosmic communication." The quantum probe, now far more than its original design, began to generate complex patterns that seemed to bridge multiple dimensions of reality. Alien representatives who had once sought to contain human technological progress now watched in a mixture of awe and trepidation. Ambassador Zara 9's crystalline form pulsed with an energy that suggested both fear and reluctant admiration. "You have done what no emerging civilization has ever accomplished," the alien liaison communicated. "You are rewriting the fundamental laws of quantum interaction." Dr. Kai Nakamura approached the primary quantum interface, his hands moving with a precision that seemed almost telepathic. The network responded to his touch, generating holographic displays that showed interconnected quantum pathways stretching beyond known space. "We're not just communicating," Kai explained to the assembled team. "We're creating a new form of cosmic understanding. Each quantum connection is like a neural pathway in a vast, universal consciousness." The global reaction was unprecedented. What had begun as a secretive research project had transformed into humanity's most significant achievement. Quantum communication centers had sprung up across continents, each contributing to a growing network of cosmic understanding. Lieutenant Commander Wei Zhang, representing the global security initiatives, realized something profound. This was no longer about technological superiority or military potential. This was about humanity's role in a much larger, more complex universe. "We're not conquering," he said during a critical briefing. "We're connecting. Learning. Growing." The quantum network began to reveal glimpses of something extraordinary. Communication pathways that suggested the existence of civilizations far beyond current human comprehension. Potential routes of travel that defied traditional understanding of space and time. Dr. Elena Kovacs, analyzing the latest data, made a breakthrough observation. "The network is adaptive," she reported. "It's not just transmitting information. It's interpreting, understanding, evolving." As the final quantum connections aligned, something remarkable happened. The barrier between observation and participation began to dissolve. Humanity was no longer just studying the cosmos. They were becoming an active part of its communication system. Ambassador Zara 9 delivered a message that would be remembered throughout human history. The Galactic Consortium recognizes humanity's quantum emergence. You are no longer an emerging civilization. You are now cosmic participants. Dr. Arya Chen understood the true significance of their achievement. This was more than a technological breakthrough. It was an evolutionary step for human consciousness. The quantum probe, now a living network of cosmic communication, continued its impossible dance. Each pulse, each connection, represented a new understanding of reality itself. Humanity had stepped into a larger universe. And the journey was just beginning. As the final quantum pathway stabilized, a new era of cosmic exploration and understanding dawned. No longer confined by the limitations of traditional physics, humanity had become something more, a bridge between known and unknown, a critical thread in the vast tapestry of cosmic consciousness. The quantum frontier stretched before them, infinite and full of possibility.